All right, I know you're all glued to your phones right now, refreshing for every single bit of transfer news. It's deadline day.
Absolutely crazy, isn't it?
Well, we're doing a deep dive into all the action.
Buckle up.
And we're looking specifically at this Transfer News Live article from the Standard.
Oh, yeah. They're right in the thick of it.
Oh, yeah. Published today, so this is right as it's happening.
Minute by minute.
So let's jump right in, because things are already getting crazy.
They always do.
Let's start with Arsenal. They're looking for a striker, but they're having some trouble.
Right. Some roadblocks.
Their bid for Ollie Watkins, he's at Aston Villa right now. Well, that got rejected.
Not a huge surprise.
Yeah, I mean, he's a key player for them. Replacing him wouldn't be easy this late.
Especially at this point, it's hard to kind of fill that void.
But Arsenal's struggles don't stop there, right?
Oh, no.
They're also trying to get Mathis Tell from Bayern Munich.
That one's proving tricky.
It sounds like Bayern wants a guaranteed purchase.
Right. They want to know he's coming back.
And Arsenal, they want the option. Maybe we'll buy him, maybe we won't.
Yeah, just an option to buy. Which is really interesting, right? Because it tells you a lot about how each club values the player. Bayern's like, this is our future star. We can't let him go. We're guaranteeing this.
Right. And Arsenal's like, well, we'll see how he does. Maybe.
A little bit more cautious. So there's that sense of urgency, protecting their investment with Bayern.
And the latest is that, well, they might be giving up on Tell.
Really?
Yeah, and looking at other options.
Wow, that's deadline day, isn't it?
Total scramble.
Last minute, see what you can get.
Speaking of things happening at the last minute, let's talk about Chelsea.
Okay.
It seems like they're letting more players go than they're bringing in.
Yeah, a lot of outgoing traffic from Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, like Carney Chukwuemeka. He's heading to Borussia Dortmund.
On loan, right.
Yeah, on loan.
Which, could be brilliant for him.
I was going to say, what do you think about that move?
Well, Dortmund, they have an incredible track record with these young players.
Right.
Look at Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham.
Oh, of course. Big names came from there.
Honed their skills there before making those huge moves.
Right. So they're sending him off to kind of a football finishing school.
Yeah, you could say that. It's a great way for Chelsea to see, can he reach that potential? Low risk for them.
So that's Chukwuemeka. What about Christopher Nkunku?
Well, it seems like that move is probably not happening.
Why is that?
Well, Manchester United and Bayern Munich, they weren't willing to meet the price tag. Chelsea's asking price, they weren't biting.
Interesting. Do you think this is a change in their strategy?
It could be. It could be that they're just less willing to let players go for cheap.
Even if they don't get as much playing time.
Exactly. Could be prioritizing that long-term value, thinking ahead. We'll see how it plays out.
Okay, well, let's go back to the clubs that are desperately searching for players. Manchester United needs a new striker.
That's for sure.
Now that they've loaned out Marcus Rashford.
Rashford on loan is an interesting one in itself, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. What do you think about that?
Chance for him to maybe rediscover some form, but it also makes you wonder, is this the beginning of the end for him at Old Trafford? We'll have to see how that plays out.
Well, and now they've set their sights on Liam Delap.
Oh, wow, okay.
And he's from, wait for it,
Don't tell me.
Manchester City.
Oh, wow.
That is a shocker.
That is a shocker. Transfers between rivals like that are always, I don't know, there's something about it.
There's that added drama.
You've got that rivalry, those two giants.
Yeah.
I would love to be a fly on the wall for those conversations. What was going on there?
Yeah, imagine that phone call.
Oh, to be in the room.
But there's even more to United's striker search. Apparently, they're also interested in Douglas Luiz.
Okay, yeah.
He's at Juventus now. But remember, he was linked with Manchester City earlier.
Right. So so many questions. Are they trying to weaken a rival?
Like getting someone they wanted.
Or do they just genuinely think he's perfect for their squad?
Or maybe both.
Right. A little bit of both. It's like a transfer chess match.
Every move has these consequences. Ripples out. And speaking of making big moves, we can't forget about Tottenham's bid for Mark Guehi.
Massive bid.
£70 million for the Crystal Palace captain.
Wow. That's a statement. That's a real statement of intent from them.
He's a young defender, lots potential, but $70 million.
I mean, is he worth that? That's a big gamble even for a club like Tottenham.
It's a gamble that hasn't paid off yet, though, because Crystal Palace turned them down.
They said no.
They said no. They must see him as completely central to their plans. But Tottenham did manage to get Kevin Danso on loan, at least to bolster their defense.
Okay, so a little bit of reinforcement there.
Yeah, and let's not forget, they also want some attacking firepower.
Right. Goals.
They've been linked to some big names. João Felix,
Oh, yeah.
Leon Bailey,
Oh, yeah.
and even Alejandro Garnacho.
Wow, so they're not holding back, are they?
It's like they're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
Gotta find that missing piece.
They want someone who can make an impact right now.
Well, Felix, he's proven, but his form has been a bit iffy lately.
Bailey has that speed, but sometimes maybe his decisions.
Yeah, a little erratic at times.
And Garnacho, incredibly promising, but he is young.
Very young, so it's a tough call. Do you go with that young talent, or do you need the results right now?
Well, and speaking of pressure, Manchester United trying to get Liam Delap from Manchester City. That is wild.
That's wild. I mean, how often do you see a player move directly between two rivals like that?
Right. You got to wonder what the fans are thinking on both sides.
Oh, the pub conversations. Social media must be blowing up right now.
But just to make things even more interesting, there's this rumor about Douglas Luiz.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He was linked with Manchester City earlier in the window.
It's like a transfer triangle.
So are they trying to weaken City or just get a good player?
Or both.
Right.
It's a brilliant tactic. If you can't weaken them by taking a player from them, get a player they wanted.
Right. It's like they're playing 4D chess.
I love it. It makes you think about the bigger picture. Are clubs just trying to get the best players, or is there something more going on, something more strategic?
Well, speaking of strategic thinking, Chelsea's doing things a little differently.
Right. Letting players go on loan, holding on to others.
Even with big offers coming in.
It's like they're playing the long game.
Yeah, like they're not going to be bullied into selling players they believe in.
Yeah, exactly. Even if those players aren't getting as much time on the pitch right now, it's bold, but it could pay off.
All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have. A whirlwind.
And we're just getting started.
Buckle up.
It's interesting, right? You got some clubs making these huge moves, splashing the cash.
Right. Going all out.
And then you've got others being a bit more strategic, a bit more careful.
Be more like a surgeon,
Yeah, like Fulham. They seem to be focused on just a couple of key areas.
Right. They're being very efficient. It's like they said, okay, we need a right back, we need a winger, and that's it.
Laser focus.
No messing around.
Maybe that's the lesson here.
Could be.
But while Fulham's playing it cool, Tottenham, well, they're making a statement, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, they want everyone to know they mean business.
That $70 million for Gray, bold move.
Yeah.
Even if Palace didn't budge.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The money involved. Palace is in a strong position. They don't have to sell.
So they can hold out for a crazy offer.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, you want our captain, you're going to have to pay a king's ransom.
Wow, yeah. But it's not always just about the money, is it?
No, sometimes it comes down to loyalty, the team, the manager's vision.
So many things in play.
All these different facts.
Like a giant puzzle. All the pieces have to fit just right.
Absolutely.
Okay, but back to Tottenham's attack. There's been a lot of talk about João Felix.
Yeah, he's a big name.
He's got the talent, but he hasn't been amazing at Atletico lately.
Sometimes, a change is all it takes.
A new team, a new league.
Fresh start.
Maybe that's what they're hoping for, a fresh start for him in the Premier League.
Could be just the spark he needs.
Then you've got Leon Bailey.
Oh, yeah. Pace for days.
But sometimes, maybe his decision-making.
A bit erratic.
Yeah, the classic speedster dilemma, all that talent. But
needs a little bit of control.
Then there's Alejandro Garnacho.
Oh, he's young.
So much potential. But maybe not ready for a club like Tottenham.
It's tough, isn't it? Do you nurture that talent, or do you need results now?
Big decisions.
Yeah.
And speaking of tough decisions, Manchester United going after Liam Delap from Manchester City. That's wild.
Wild. You don't see that very often, a player moving between two rivals like that.
What are the fans thinking?
Oh, I can only imagine. The pub conversations are going to be epic.
But then there's also this interest in Douglas Luiz.
Oh, right. Yeah, him too.
Remember, he was linked with Manchester City earlier.
It's like a transfer triangle.
So are they trying to weaken City?
Or are they just getting a player they think is good? It's a brilliant move, If you can't weaken them by taking a player, get a player they wanted.
Mind games. They're playing 4D chess.
It makes you think about the bigger picture, doesn't it? What's the real goal here?
Absolutely. And Chelsea, they're taking a completely different approach.
Yeah, very strategic.
Letting players go on loan, holding on to others.
Even with big offers.
Like they're playing the long game.
Exactly. They're not going to be pressured into selling players they believe in.
Even if those players aren't getting a lot of minutes right now.
They're confident in their system and their development.
It's bold, but it could really pay off in the future.
It could change everything.
Imagine a few years from now, a Chelsea team full of academy graduates dominating.
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
That's what's so exciting about all of this.
Deadline day, anything can happen.
Wow, I'm exhausted.
I know, right?
It's like we've run a marathon.
A deadline day marathon, that's for sure.
All that drama.
Highs and lows, it's like the whole essence of football crammed into one day.
Hope, despair.
Yeah, you said it. And the unpredictability.
Oh, absolutely.
You never know what's going to happen next.
It's crazy how much can change in just a few hours.
I know, right? Careers made, clubs transformed, all in the blink of an eye.
And we're all just glued to our phones, hitting refresh, waiting for that next bit of news.
It's addictive, isn't it?
Totally. But I think it's good to take a breath, Step back, look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, what's it all mean? Which moves are actually going to matter in the long run?
Exactly. Which players are going to thrive? Which clubs are really going to benefit from all this?
Big questions.
Well, let's start with Arsenal.
Okay.
They didn't quite get that striker they wanted.
Right, not yet.
But they're definitely not messing around.
They're decisive.
Yeah, walking away from that Tell deal if it wasn't right for them.
Shows they've got principles, They're not just chasing any big name.
And they're committed to developing their young players, like with Maldini Kakuri going out on loan.
Absolutely. They're thinking long term, which is great to see.
They might not have gotten that big signing today, but that patience could pay off big time down the line.
It could. It really could.
Now Tottenham, they went all in for Guehi.
They did. 70 million.
Didn't work out, but it sent a message.
Oh, yeah. They're not sitting back.
They want to compete. They want trophies.
And their search for a new attacker shows that, too.
They want goals. They want someone who can make a difference right away.
Whether it's Felix or Bailey or someone else entirely, they're serious.
No messing around.
Tottenham are a club to watch, that's for sure.
Okay, and then there's Manchester United, that whole Liam Delap saga.
I know, can you believe that?
A player going from Man City to Man United, that's almost unheard of.
It's huge, and you know what? It's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out.
Absolutely. For both clubs, for the fans, it's a story that's just getting started.
And then there's the Douglas Luiz interest. What's that all about?
Are they trying to mess with City, or do they just really rate him?
Maybe both.
Who knows?
It's a game of chess out there. Every move has consequences.
And Chelsea, they're playing a different game altogether.
Quietly confident.
Letting players go out on loan, not budging on their prices.
They believe in their system. They're building something special.
It's a long-term vision.
And it might just work.
It might just be the key to their success.
It's easy to get caught up in the big signings, the headlines.
Yeah, the flashy moves.
But sometimes it's the quieter moves that make the biggest difference.
Loan deals, contract extensions, even just deciding to keep a player.
It's all about building that right team, the team that can achieve your goals.
Exactly. Smart decisions, not just big ones.
So, deadline day, it's been wild.
Absolutely crazy.
Ambition, strategy, maybe even a little bit of panic.
That's part of the game.
But the real winners and losers, well, we won't know for a while.
It's a long season ahead.
We have to see how these moves work out, how the players adapt, how the teams evolve. That's what I love about football. It's never over.
It's a story that keeps unfolding with every match, every result, every twist and turn.
You never know what's going to happen next.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, one last question for you.
Okay, hit me.
Of all the moves we talked about, which one do you think will be the most important? Which one will have the biggest impact on the season?
Ooh, that's a tough one. But you know what? I want to hear what you think. Let's keep the conversation going. Share your predictions, your thoughts. Tell us what you think. And until next time, stay tuned. Keep those browsers refreshed because even though the transfer window's closed, the drama never really ends.